Welcome to the module on the personal pronouns, and it's here we'll be covering both chapter 11 and chapter 12 for the first, second, and third person personal pronouns. And in English, we have the same equivalents as we would find in Greek. We have first person pronouns I and we. We have second person pronouns you and you plural, you all, so whether it's you singular, you plural. And we also have third person pronouns. The singulars are he, she, it, and in the plural it's they. And for Greek, we have a separate form for each personal pronoun according to its case. And so pronouns like nouns take the place of a noun. And so if we say the cat ran out of the house, we might say in the second sentence, it was upset with the dog. Or we might say that the woman who crossed the street, she was on her way to work. And so we have ways to replace the noun that to which we're referring to with a pronoun. And the noun to which a pronoun refers to is called an antecedent. And that's a term that you hear time and time again throughout the course of the Greek. What is the antecedent of the pronoun to which we're reading we're reading the sentence? So let's go over the forms. And for the first person and second person pronouns, we actually have two forms. We have a form that we see more frequently, a regular form, and then if the author wants to make the pronoun particularly emphatic, there's also an emphasized form. So let's go over the regular forms, or the forms that you generally see. And so the lexical form for I is a nominative singular, and that's ego. If I write it out here, don't forget the smooth breathing mark, ego. And the genitive singular would be mu. And the dative singular would be moi. And the accusative singular would be me. And if I were to emphasize these forms, usually the emphasized form has an extra epsilon in front of the mu plus an accent. So the emphasized form for the genitive is mu. And notice that ego is used both as a regular form and an emphatic form. The emphatic form for moi is emoi, and the emphatic form for me is eme. And these are the forms for I, and this is my or of me. This is to me, and this is me. And if I wanted to use the first person forms for you singular, it would be su, and the genitive would be su also, but it's spelled differently. Notice that, again, a very familiar case ending, the omicron u signals the genitive singular. The dative singular would be soy, and the accusative singular would be se. And what then would be the emphatic forms? Well, the emphatic forms for you do not use the extra epsilon, but uses the accent. So if you see this accent, it's being emphatic. And again, the nominative singular forms for the emphatic and regular form are the same. Soy has an accent, and the regular form does not. And se has an accent, and the regular form does not. And this would be the nominative singular, you, the genitive, your, possessive, or it could be of you. The dative singular would be to you, and the accusative would be you. And these are the singular forms. But instead of I, what if I wanted to say we in plural? Well, the nominative form, plural form, is hemes. And notice that we only have one form for the plural, first person plural. So it's hemes. The genitive plural is hemon. The dative plural is hemin. And the accusative plural is hemos. And this would be we, our, or of us, our, to us for the dative, and us for the accusative. And what if we wanted to do the you, but in its plural form, so not you singular, but you plural? Well, the nominative singular form would be humes. And by the way, I think a common Greek mistake is confuse the we with the you. So just remember that the we or the first person plural forms always begins with an eta, and while the you, the second person plural forms, always begins with that upsilon, and they both have rubber breathing marks. So this is you in the nominative plural, or you all. And then if I want to say your plural, it'd be humon. If I wanted to say to you, it would be humin. And if I want to say you as a direct object, it'd be humos. And this would be you for the nominative, your for the plural, or of you all, to you all, and for the accusative, you all. And these are the second and first person singular and plural forms. Now that you've been introduced to the first and second person pronouns, let's go over the third person pronouns. And you've already been introduced through your vocabulary to the word autos, which means he. And in your vocabulary, in mounts, he also listed the feminine form, aute, which is she, the nominative singular form, and then also the nominative singular form for the neuters, ata, which means it. And so we'll go over these forms. Notice that the masculine, feminine, neuter forms look almost similar to, not quite, but almost exactly to the 2-1-2 adjectives. It uses the same endings, except for the neuter, it uses a slightly different ending for the nominative singular and the accusative singular, and we'll go over that in a bit. But let's go over the pronoun he, the masculine forms for the third person pronoun. So autos is the word that we use for he, and this third person pronoun is going to use the second declension masculine endings, as we would see in the noun logos or in the adjective agathos. So it's going to look exactly the same. So if I were to simply write this out, os, u, oio subscript on, oi, on, ois, us. If I were to add the pronoun stem, you will find that autos is he, his is auta, that's the genitive singular. The dative singular is auto, to him, and the accusative singular is auton, him. If I want to say the nominative plurals, it would be autoi, they. The genitive would be auton, their, or of them. And then the dative plural would be autois, or to them. And the accusative plural would be autus, or them. What about the feminine forms? Well, like the first declension endings, case endings for nouns like phone, which is sound, or the feminine form for the adjective agathe, we would expect that the nominative singular forms would be a, the genitive would be ace, a iota subscript, ain, and the plural forms would be I, own, ice, and os. And if you add the pronoun stem to it, then aute is she, and then autes is her or of her. To her, the dative singular would be ate iota subscript, and her as the direct object or the accusative case would be atein. If I want to say the plurals for the feminine forms, they would be atai. The genitive would be aton. To them, to feminine, where them is feminine, it'd be atais, and then the accusative form, plural, is atas. And lastly, for the neuter forms, it also follows typically the second declension neuter noun like ergon, or the adjectival form in the neuter like agathon. It looks just like it, except in the nominative singular and accusative singular. You don't have auton for the nominative singular neuter form, and primarily because the neuter noun wants to be able to distinguish itself from the accusative singular form in for the masculine nouns. And so to distinguish itself so that you know it's a neuter noun, not a masculine accusative singular noun, we have ata, and the nu has been dropped. So that's not a typographical error. It is in fact ata without the nu at the end. You do not see that nu. That nu has been dropped. And this is the correct nominative singular masculine form, nominative singular neuter form, which means it. If I want to say its or of it, then I would simply fill out the paradigm, knowing what I know about neuter nouns. So it'd be a, u, o iota subscript, and then remember the accusative and the masculine forms have the same ending, so it's just the omicron a. And the plurals would be for the neuter forms a alpha, on, ois, a alpha again. So it is ata, its is atu, that's a genitive singular form. The dative singular form is ato, to it. And if I want to use it as direct object, ata, that's the accusative singular form. The nominative plurals is ata. The genitive plural is aton. The dative plural is atois. And if I wanted to use a direct object, the accusative plural for the neuter nouns is ata. And those are the forms for the third person pronoun for he, she, it, and its various forms, and they in the plural.